out of, automotive into other things, that there's some other opportunities out there to get placed, and possibly even out of state once you get that rolling.
Well, the thing of it is, too, if you're a skilled tradesperson and you can make a product that is profitable to that company, you're going to have a job. If you're unfortunately a commodity employee, you're a generalist, your chances of finding the same type of job at the same type of wages are becoming greatly diminished, at least here in southeastern Michigan.
Now, what other types of services do you offer the folks when they come to you? Do you help them with, do you work on their resume? Do you give them some interviewing skills assistance? How do you prep them for these interviews? Because they do have to have some sort of interview, I assume, on the phone first, and then they probably go face-to-face and do some other things. But what do you do on your end to get them prepared so that they're the best candidate you're putting in front of them?
It's primarily under the guise of marketing. We help them market themselves better. We'll take a look at their resume. If there's things that need to be adjusted, we'll make those suggestions. We'll pass that resume back to the candidate to see how serious they are. If they're serious, they'll return the resume with the suggestions we've made so that we can market that resume to our client base. In regards to the face-to-face interview process, currently we do interview everybody face-to-face, and through that process we'll give them feedback on things that they did well, things they want to highlight in the interview, and maybe some things they don't necessarily want to focus on so much that may be beyond their control. Or you have people sometimes come in because they just feel defeated sometimes, and we don't talk about that in an interview. Talk about what you can do for the company, how you can help the company be more profitable as compared to how maybe things didn't turn out exactly like you thought with your previous employer.
Question I have for you, given things going on in the automotive sector, have some people just left automotive in the skills, not because they had to leave, nobody got rid of them, but have they decided to jump ship early and try to find something else outside of automotive? Have you seen any of that happening with you?
Well, the interesting thing with the automotive is the automotive makes parts that are run to what they call a certain type of tolerance. That's how much pressure that metal piece can take. Normally it's a metal piece. That same process applies to aerospace or to other technologies, but it's at a different tolerance. And we see that the automotive manufacturing skill sets don't always translate to translating into other worlds.
Oh, I see.
So they run into that barrier. I want to get into aerospace. I want to get into military defense. So, well, you've got to take some classes and you've got to improve your skill set because that part is run to a tighter tolerance. What we can do for those people is to maybe divert them into companies that do alternative energy because the tolerance doesn't have to be so hard, or some other non-automotive pieces.
Okay.
But it's very surprising to them that they can't run it to the automotive specifications because aerospace and military have higher specifications.
So literally their skill set has to be retooled as well.
To a degree.
Okay.
To a degree.
Where do they go to get more training?
We often suggest that they go to the local community colleges.
Okay, like Auburn Hills, like OCC, Auburn Hills?
OCC, MCC, even WCC has programs to help them improve their programming skills.
Okay.
And then there's a program at Ferris State where they can actually get an engineering degree of sorts, a four-year program. We went there last year, and there was 18 kids in the class, and each of them had 3 job offers at an average of $72,000 each.
These are just young folks?
Yeah, young folks. And we,
Wow.
I asked them how they chose which company they're going to work for. I said, whoever made me the first offer, because I was told.
This is their first job out of school at 72,000
Yeah.
averaging.
Yeah.
Wow.
But there's a massive misconception that there's not going to be any more manufacturing jobs anywhere. That's completely false. There are plenty of manufacturing jobs at the higher end skills. There's not going to be a lot of jobs where you push buttons. That's
Right.
$10 an hour. That's a commodity job. I can't help you with that. But if you're one of these kids, 18 kids, there's 30 seats in the class. Vera said to us, can you help us find more kids to fill our seats? Because we're battling a massive perception. We're trying to shift that paradigm away that there aren't going to be manufacturing jobs. And there'll be plenty of manufacturing jobs on the skilled side, but again, not at the commodity side.
Right. That's amazing.
Yeah, we were really surprised.
Wow. Maybe I'll go back to school.
There you go.
Wow, that's really impressive. And it's good that you're getting this information out because people don't, my perceptions are, completely the opposite of what you're telling me right now. So it's good education for me as well because we all think, oh, automotive is going away, so the whole world's going away, Yeah. That's just not true.
And we're even hearing it from our customer base that they want to outsource some of these high-end skilled positions to China or to India, and they've tried it and it's failed miserably, and they have to bring the parts back here and have them retooled and remachined. So even the manufacturing sector is saying, wait a minute, we've got to have a little tighter control of these positions and these parts because we can't trust that they're being taken care of halfway around the world to our specifications. So, but their challenge to us is if you can find me someone under the age of 35, we'll take them and we'll apprentice them and we'll mentor them because there's such a gap demographically, age-wise, that they're concerned that their average age is 55 years old. What are they going
That's
to do in the next
amazing.
10 years? And there's not a great deal of people coming in behind them because of the shift, especially here in Michigan, of there's not going to be any manufacturing.
You know, the funny thing is I really don't hear a lot going on in the Michigan news that there are still needs. Everybody keeps talking about, you know, the science and the technology and this and that, but not really that we still need high level in the manufacturing. So it's kind of like they're steering everybody in another direction, but there's still needs that aren't being addressed.
Well, even in the life sciences and the alternative energy, someone's got to make that windmill.
Right,
Someone's got to
right,
make that
exactly.
turbine engine. Someone's got the brain power to design it certainly is required, and that's what we've got the Spark program in Ann Arbor for. But someone still has to make that. We've run into 2 companies in the last 30 days that do something with water. They either add salt or delete salt in a desalination process. And some small guy, literally, he had a barn down in Monroe where he was building this product, and he'd gotten the patent, and he was taken off. And his client, he has 0 clients in the United States. They're all over in the UAE, over in Dubai, over in the Saudis, because that's where they don't have any water.
Right.
So he's an exporter here in Michigan. He's got 15 guys working out of his barn.
Oh my goodness.
And it's an amazing success story, but he's a manufacturer here in Michigan, but he's not doing automotive.
That's fantastic. Well, see, innovation. That's what you
Absolutely.
get. Innovation.
Absolutely.
I love it. It's a great story. So where do you see the next? I mean, the next step. Of course, you said you want to take your company to a national level. When do you expect to be doing that?
We're starting this week.
This week.
This week. We're taking a look at trying to do some pocketed cells based upon our research. We're looking at Carolina, we're looking at the Chicagoland area, we're looking at some parts of Texas, just to kind of do a test program for the remainder of this year to see how it works. As you know, Michigan economy is a little bit slower than all of us would like. We've got the manpower and the time now to focus outside of this area, and actually we got our first opportunity last week out in Iowa.
Excellent.
So we're going to see how that works. We're going to test it out, work the kinks out. There's going to be bugs and parts of the process as we go through it, but I think ultimately we'll be able to have 20 or 30 recruiters working in Troy with certain states that are their territory, their responsibility, that will be a great Detroit success story.
So what are they doing? Are they looking through opportunities that are posted out there at specific types of companies, your recruiters, getting in contact with those companies and trying to move human resources from here to over there? Is that how you're doing it?
It's a little bit
Or do you
different
go through the
process.
college system?
We actually came up with our own way of doing it. What we do is we'll take a resume of a candidate, and instead of doing what they would call a reference call to verify, dates of employment, how, were they dependable, reliable, what were their wages, we don't focus on that. We actually call, and we want to do what we call a skills verification call. And that verifies whether that person can actually run that machine. And that normally doesn't take us to HR, that takes us to the plant manager. In our world, the plant manager is the one who knows really what's going on in his area of responsibility, and he's got the pain. He knows if he's got poor workforce, he knows if he's got empty machines, and through the process of asking him a lot of questions, we simply tie it off by saying, hey, we've got John here. If we find another guy who looks as good as John or better, would you be interested? Because I'm looking for 3 John guys right now. Where we talked to HR 2 weeks ago, oh, we're not hiring. There's often a big disconnect
see.
within
Okay.
companies. So we want to talk to the person who has the pain. Primarily, that's the plant person. So
How do you find those? How do you connect with those people?
we
Is there
call
ways
we
to
call
do-
into the receptionist and
and you-
ask
oh,
her.
okay. You just do it that way.
We got to verify John's skills, and they'll say, well, we can send you to HR, but they probably don't know. I said, well, who is his manager? And that guy rarely ever gets a phone call. He's happy to tell us,
Right.
he was a pretty good programmer. He can do this and this and this. I said, great. And if you ever need another one, we've got 3 more waiting. Oh, great, because I can't find enough skilled trades. Because often they rely on the HR person, or they rely on a sign or a newspaper ad, and they've got to do a massive filtering process, and they still may only get 3 or 4 candidates that maybe qualify, and it's a very big pain in the behind. So we want to help them with that.
Giving them a lot more choice.
Well, we want to make sure that, and again, 80% of the people I work with have jobs. So this guy's got a job.
Right.
He's going to interview you, Mr. Prospect, as much as you're going to interview him. He's got leverage. He's got something to offer. He's not just a guy looking for anything right now.
Yeah. And that's interesting. The people you're working with are people that already are, have good employment but looking for other opportunities.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's a little bit different. But this is a wonderful idea, and that's Diversified Industrial Staffing, and you're here in Troy.
Correct.
Okay. And how do people initially get in contact with you? Do they go through the website? Do they give you a call?
They do both. They can
do
either go
both.
through our website at
Okay.
www.diversifiedindustrialstaffing.com or simply just give us a call at 248-526-5230.
So diversifiedindustrialstaffing.com.
It's a mouthful.
Okay. Yeah, but they can find you. You're in Troy, and you're a company unto yourself. I mean, you're very niched, and there's manufacturing jobs out there, so that's a good message for people.
Yeah, especially in the skilled trade sector. I can't get enough CNC programmers right now.
CNC programmers. Okay. All right. We're going to turn a little bit away from that and talk a little bit about the Entrepreneurs Organization, of which you are the president of the Detroit chapter. And why don't you tell us a little bit